This is when you can finally stop saving for retirement. Seriously. I had a client recently tell me something I hear a lot. I've been maxing out my 401k for 25 years. I'm not going to stop now. And I get it. That discipline is exactly what built their $2.8 million portfolio. But here's what I asked them. Is saving more still moving the needle on your retirement? Or are you just doing it because you've always done that? That question completely shifted how they thought about their money. Because at a certain point, saving more stops being the answer. This video is about helping you see if you're oversaving for retirement, why that can quietly cost you, and what you should be focusing on instead. And I'll show you how this plays out in a real-world situation for Robert and Linda. Stick with me, because later in this video, I'm going to show you the exact investment shift that replaces their savings as primary focus once you've crossed that threshold. Hi, I'm Scott Beasley, Certified Financial Planner at Gateway Financial Partners. Let's get started. Today, we're looking at when saving more stops being the answer and what could take its place as you move closer to retirement. Before we talk about changing any behavior, we need to answer a basic question. Is saving still actually helping you, or are you just doing it because you always have? This is where many successful savers get stuck. You've been disciplined for decades. You've maxed out accounts. You've avoided lifestyle creep. That discipline worked. It's put you in the position you are today. But many keep doing the same thing without ever asking whether the math underneath their plan has shifted. The simplest way planners pressure test this is with something called a funded ratio. You compare what you've already saved to what you actually need to support the lifestyle you want in retirement. Here's how you can plug in your numbers. Take your annual projected retirement spending and divide it by a withdrawal rate. For this video, I'll use 5% as a baseline. If that feels aggressive, substitute 4 and run the exact same math. The point isn't to argue about the perfect withdrawal rate. It's to give you a directional way to understand where you are. So if you need $140,000 per year to support your lifestyle, the math suggests you need about $2.8 million invested. But that's not the end of the calculation. Now we adjust for direct income. Social Security, pensions, or income you expect reduces how much income your portfolio actually has to provide. Let's say $35,000 of that annual spending is covered by Social Security. That means your portfolio only needs to cover the remaining $105,000. Now, run the same math. $105,000 divided by 5% means your new target drops to $2.1 million. Nothing changed about your lifestyle, nothing changed about the markets, but the amount your investments need to do just shifted in a very real way. Now, here's where what that funded ratio actually tells you. Researchers at Morningstar run 1,000 market simulations to see how often retirement plans succeed. When a plan is right around 100% funded, success rates land in the low 80% range. By the time plans reach 120 to 130% funded, success probabilities rise into the low to mid 90s. And once you get around 150% funded, success rates are usually in the high 90s. Beyond that, the curve flattens. Additional savings still help, but they produce smaller improvements in success and instead mostly increase surplus or legacy outcomes. So this calculation gives you a snapshot to see whether saving more meaningfully changes your outcome or whether you've already crossed the line where additional saving has diminishing returns. Meet Robert and Linda. Let me show you how this played out in a real-world plan and how we replaced saving with tactics that both freed up cash flow and improved their retirement. Robert and Linda are 55 and 56 today, and they plan to retire at 60 and 61. They have $2.8 million in their investment portfolio. That includes $800,000 in a joint taxable account, $1.65 million in a pre-tax retirement account, and $350,000 in Roth accounts. They also have $90,000 in bank savings as a reserve. Their home is worth $1.1 million here in Northern California. They have $150,000 left on that mortgage at 3.2% fixed rate, scheduled to be paid off about 2 years into retirement. Right now, Robert earns $13,000 per month and Linda earns $7,500. They're maxing their 401ks at about $65,000 per year combined. And we had this discussion about graduating from piling money into their 401ks. We adjusted their retirement projection to continue saving through this year and then stopping new contributions going into next year. That decision will free up about $45,000 per year after taxes. Instead of automatically saving that money, they redirected it intentionally. Of course, they wanted to know if they were set for retirement before they take this step. Now, if you're wondering whether you've crossed that threshold yourself, whether it's time to ease up on contributions and redirect that money elsewhere, this isn't something you want to guess at. that. If you want help running your specific numbers, click the link in the description below to schedule a time to talk with our team. Here's what we looked at. The retirement spending plan includes $11,500 per month in core expenses, $1,200 per month for travel through age 75, $800 per month in charitable giving, and $1,100 per month for private health insurance until Medicare starts at age 65. The early retirement years will be heavier on the portfolio withdrawals. This is often called the hatchet shape, where withdrawals are higher before Social Security begins. Robert plans to take Social Security at age 70, projected about $4,200 per month, while Linda plans to take hers at 67, projected at $2,600 per month. As those income sources turn on, portfolio withdrawals come down. Then the mortgage payoff in 2033 acts like a new income source because a major payment goes away. Retirement isn't one flat line, it's a series of income phases. And this highlights the limitation of the funded ratio alone. The funded ratio tells you if you're on track, but it doesn't tell you how to stay on track when markets move against you. That's where discipline has to show up differently. We use spending guardrails to account for the ups and downs. At retirement, their estimated portfolio is about $3.4 million. If the portfolio grows to 4.8, they can increase spending by $4,500 per month. But if it drops to 2.2 million, they tighten their belt by about $800 per month. This puts a dynamic framework in place to stay on track. No guesswork, just objective responses that move emotion from the decision-making process. Stopping saving didn't make them less disciplined. It changed where their discipline will show up as they move toward and into retirement. Now, remember at the beginning, I said I'd show you the exact investment shift that replaces saving once you cross that threshold? This is it. Once you graduate from saving, the focus shifts to a different kind of preparation. The first priority during the runway is minimizing risk. Robert and Linda are about 80% in stocks today. Robert is more growth-oriented. Linda would love to take some risk off the table. We agreed that the smart approach is balancing both growth and stability. This is where building up reserves comes in. Reserves are simply a portion of the portfolio intentionally designed to support spending and retirement using more stable assets, things like cash and high-quality short to intermediate term bonds. As retirement gets closer, we start separating money that needs to grow long-term from money that may need to be used sooner. The reserves hold those nearer-term dollars, so Robert and Linda aren't forced to sell stocks if the market is down when they stop working. If markets are strong, great. The growth side keeps doing its job, and we rebalance the reserves with profits. But if the markets are weak, the reserves give them time to let the markets recover and avoid locking in losses. They plan to increase the reserve allocation by 5% this year and another 5% a year or two down the line. This isn't about market timing, it's about reducing the risk of entering retirement during a market downturn with no flexibility. Bear markets happen regularly, on average about every 6 years. You don't want to experience that reality for the first time after you've stopped working. But setting yourself up well for retirement isn't just about what you save, it's about what you keep. That's where the tax strategy comes in. When they retire, they'll be withdrawing from their non-retirement accounts first. The good news is that we'll keep taxes low because they're taxed on gains at lower capital gains rates. They'll enter this common tax valley. But you don't want to treat it like a windfall because higher taxes are lurking for later years. Instead, you'll ask, how can I proactively take advantage of it? For Robert and Linda, we decided to convert portions of their large pre-tax accounts into Roth during this tax valley. This allows them to pay low taxes up front instead of big taxes later. We'll do Roth conversions under the Medicare IRMAA bracket number. This means most of it will be at the 12% federal and before Medicare premiums are increased. As we begin the strategy, we'll evaluate year by year. We'll likely ease up later because of their charitable intentions and the ability to give from their IRAs qualified charitable distributions in their 70s. Over their retirement, this proactive tax planning is projected to save them approximately $240,000 in lifetime taxes and increase what they can pass on to their kids in charitable causes by over $320,000. Preparation beats reaction every time. Robert and Linda have a plan that allows them to stop saving, direct that cash flow towards things they value prior to even retiring, and they can be clear and confident as they approach retirement. At this stage, the biggest impact comes from intention, timing, and flexibility, not from blindly adding more to the pile. If you're nearing retirement and want to make sure your financial strategy supports your goals and values, let's connect. Click the link in the description below to schedule a conversation.